Welcome back to Sister Circle Live. He's a Hollywood icon, best known for his riveting roles in blockbuster films like American History X, Fight Club, The Incredible Hulk, and Primal Fear.
And his momentum continues with a new film he wrote, directed, and starred in, Motherless Brooklyn. Let's take a look.
I got something wrong with me. That's the first thing to know.
I got threads in my head. I got threads in my head, man.
I twitch and shout a lot. Makes me look like a damn freak show.
Can't you ever cut that out?
I'm sorry. Touch it, Bailey. I'm sorry.
But inside my head's an even bigger mess. I can't stop twisting things around, words and sounds especially. Have to keep playing with them until they come out right. Sorry.
Jeez.
Wow. Please welcome the incomparable Edward Norton.
Woohoo! Welcome.
Nice to see you.
Okay, you know
I gotta do my third one in the morning.
Well,
Yes.
it is what it is.
Yes.
Edward, join us and make yourself comfortable on the purple pillow. You know, I said it earlier in the back. I think it's fair for me to say it in front of everyone. I'm completely in love with you. Yes. Yes. That's just what it is.
This is a safe space to say that.
It's very safe here.
I think you're allowed to say whatever you want in here.
It's only us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, watching back when we looked at the clip there, that is a super role. I mean, that is you play a very complex character.
Yes.
What is it exactly do you look for in a storyline or in a character that says, you know what, I want to move forward with this project?
If it looks hard, if I get a little scared, or if I think that could go disastrously badly, sometimes that draws me toward it. You know, it's sort of like a 7-course meal. You know, if you read something and you say, "Ooh, how am I going to find my way through this?"
Right.
That
does
perversely it draws me.
Yeah.
And as you can see, this film is, it's a lot of things. It's sort of, he's in the tradition of like Forrest Gump or Rain Man. He's an underdog who you kind of have to root for because his unique affliction makes it hard to navigate life, and people don't treat him so well.
Fairly,
and yet he has qualities within this affliction that are special. And so it's an affliction and a gift at the same time. But as a detective, he is not exactly the smoothest operator. And as you saw when he gets with a blonde who thinks he looks cute, it does not go the way it would go if it was Jack Nicholson.
You can't go blowing out the matches, man. I mean, I really like how creative you are, and I love the duality in your roles that you choose, especially with Primal Fear. I'm telling you, I think that's when I fell in love with you. But
wow, you like a dark, sick, manipulative
look, I like Sausage Party too now. Sausage Party, I laughed the whole time. So
that was so much fun. I just watched it the other night like twice too.
It's a good movie. It's good. But in this duality that we're talking about, do you ever find yourself in the position to where you can't be Edward Norton in person, and you have to be what people expect to see and be when you're in their presence?
I've had, hopefully when you get to do these things, you get to work on them in an intense period of concentration, in which you don't have too many other demands on you. And then at the end you can kind of hang it on a hook like a coat you're done with, and leave it alone. I've had things that I felt I needed to stay down and in more. This one, because I was directing it, I had to be okay with kind of turning the switch of the character on and off on an almost daily basis. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about American X. When we look at actually the state of our country right now, what are some reflective moments that you've had that you actually see within the movie?
That film, when we made it, we talked about the idea almost of a classical Shakespearean approach to a person who could have been many things, but who's become dominated by a flaw in rage. We were really trying to look at what how does rage warp people who have potential to be loving people, potential to be things, intelligent people, and it's sort of it's meant to be a tragedy that depicts how rage takes this person down. What's wild about that film, looking back on it now, is that white supremacist culture seemed like fringe culture then, right? These images you see, it's extremely. It had an extreme. It looked so extreme that it looked fringe, in a way. And now, what's shocking is not even just that it still exists, but that it's mainstream.
Yes,
it's been made mainstream. It's guys in khakis and a kind of an unapologetic an unapologetic embrace within the mainstream, and that's to me even more disturbing and terrifying. To feel its amplification. In a way.
Absolutely. Well, we have got so much more with you. The man of many talents, Mr. Edward Norton, when we return. I can't wait to talk about more of it. I have to be honest with you. It's one of my favorites.
Frank! Brooklyn, she's in trouble now. Ooh. Does anybody know what Frank was into on this?
There's something going down, and it's big, and they were not happy about what he found.
We find who did this, and we square accounts.
If I figure it out, I'm gonna make him regret it. I promise you that.
Wow. Welcome back to Sister Circle Live, and we are still hanging out with Hollywood heavy hitter Edward Norton, and that was another look at his new film, Motherless Brooklyn. Wow. I'm telling you, you're going to do extremely well.
Oh, thank you.
We were talking in the break. He's like, I'm telling you, we were talking in the break. He's like, oh, I'm so nervous. I'm like, nervous for what? This is a masterpiece. I don't understand.
That's very sweet.
But no, I'm being very honest. I'm not really sweet.
You can be.
I can't be. But no, honestly, as we talked about earlier, your role with this particular character is a very complex individual, extremely brilliant, but suffers from Tourette's syndrome. Before taking on this role, have you ever interacted or had any experience with a person with Tourette's?
Sure. Yeah, if you're going to do something like this, obviously you have to respect the need to research it and understand it. The thing that's fascinating about Tourette's syndrome is how it expresses itself individually, totally differently in each person. It isn't the same in any one person. Some people have physical compulsions to twitches that can range in severity. Some people have the vocal component of it that we're familiar with, of needing to shout or the word play. So I was free in many ways to create my own mix of it. But the thing that I felt in a way was that even though he has an extreme condition, everybody can relate to the loneliness. Everyone can relate to feeling misunderstood. Everyone can relate to feeling unseen. And in fact, when he meets Gugu and Batha Raw's character, they don't connect in chemistry in a way. What they connect in is she's a black woman in the 50s who's seen as a secretary and dismissed, but she's in fact a lawyer and a community activist. And when they bond over the experience of not being seen for who they are.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. That's something that everyone can relate to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think with the best characters, that's what you look for, is even if their difference is not your own, the empathy of having the sensation of feeling misunderstood.
Well, you wrote, you directed, and you starred in this film, and you're already a complex character in and of yourself. But you had your Bruce Willis, you had your Gugu Mbatha-Raw, and you had Michael K. Williams. I mean, it's just a slew of folks in this film. So how did you successfully balance all those roles?
That's good.
Well, in a funny way, what you just said was my head. Directing the film and acting in it was challenging. What I relied on was my collaborators. You rely on the talents of other people, and that cast, Willem Dafoe and Alec Baldwin and Bruce Willis and Michael K. Williams and Gugu. These are I went to a deep bench of people whose work I revere, and who I knew would come with such a level of game that in many ways their needs from me would be minimal. It's true. I mean, these scenes I have with Michael K. Williams, like where he plays a Miles Davis like trumpeter, and he brought such an improvisational magic to it that you know, in many ways, like he was elevating the scenes we did together without my guidance, which was great.
Oh, well, we have to definitely have you back. Thank you
Yes,
so much for
my
joining us
God.
today. You're always welcome at the Circle.
Not enough time.
Yes, and you can see Edward Norton's genius in Motherless Brooklyn when it hits theaters
Thank you, guys.
November 1st.
Absolutely, and the conversations continue on all social media platforms at Sister Circle TV.
Yes.
Thank you.